welcome to the channel. Today what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some install switches, or some, not install switches, some switches for my headlight, because I have this aftermarket headlight right here, and all I can do right now is turn it on and off. And what I want to do is I want to be able to have the LED light on without the headlight, or have the headlight on without the LED. So during the day I have the neon strip, and at night I can just run the bright light. So let's get started. So the tools you'll need is probably a flathead, a Phillips. I thought it was a 5 for these right here, but I don't know, for some reason 3/16 fits, and I don't have a 5, so I'm going to use that. Well, I have a 5 for my socket, but like I said, it's not fitting in them, and I thought it was a 5, but I got a 3/16, something to cut wires with, and I do not have a wire stripper or anything like that, so I'm just going to use these. I got some wire right here, red for positive, I got gray for negative, so I know what it's running to. I got assorted connectors here, because, you know, I'm probably going to need it for a bunch of different things, you know, to hook the wire to the battery, and to connect the wires together to the fuse, stuff like that. And I got 2 toggle switches, one for the running light and one for the headlight itself. And usually the switch will say what size you need to drill a hole, and the one that I need is 7/16 to drill a hole in the panel, so I can put the fuse through and add it on there. And if I run in anything else, then I'll just throw it in there on the way. So the first thing you're probably going to want to do is remove the seat, and then unplug the battery, and then I will get to the fairing here, or the side panel, whatever you want to call it. So alright, so now that I have the seat removed, it looks like I have 2 Phillips holding down the battery terminals. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those first, and then I will start taking the side panel off and all that. Alright, so after you remove the Phillips screws there, and there's a push pin right there. You just push it right down the middle, and you can use a flathead to pry it out. And there's another one right there at the back. And then after you remove this piece right there with the hex tool, there's a 10mm right there you need to remove, and the thing should come right off. Alright, so I got the fairing removed, and I guess you can do it from either side, but I want my toggle switch to rest on this side, because whenever the steering wheel is locked, it rests to the left, so I want my switches to be on the right side. And whenever you're removing this, if you have trouble after you remove all the screws, whenever you're removing it, just twist it like this a little bit, and you just pull it right off. Real easy, but be careful with this so you don't scratch it up or anything. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I picked this spot right here to install my toggle switches, and you can pretty much put them wherever you want, but this is a pretty good place for them to be hidden. And wherever you do it, make sure there's enough room behind for the I guess the relay of the switch to set. So I'm going to drill a hole right here and here for my 2 toggle switches. Alright, so I got my 2 holes drilled for the toggle switch, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this black panel to make it easier to, you know, see how much wire I need and connect everything. And then once it's done, I'll just throw it back on there. So I'm going to remove that Phillips, and that Phillips, and this black panel should pop right off this fairing. Alright, so I got these toggle switches on, and removing this piece from the fairing really did help. I got them in a pretty good position. Just be careful when you're drilling that hole out, because I kind of cracked my black piece right here a little bit, but it's not enough to do too much damage, so be careful if you're hauling out that plastic. And another thing that I found difficult was I barely left enough clearance to the right side toggle switch to screw in that locking nut. So make sure you have enough clearance to tighten that stuff down. And I used a pair of needle nose to do it, you know, just kind of vice gripped it and twisted it on as tight as I could get it. So now I think I'm going to hook up the fuse and start running some wires, and then we'll get to the headlight itself. So basically this is real simple. I put a loop in attached to my fuse so I can screw it into the battery and have this running. Then I'll connect the 2 toggle switch wires to this end, so that way it has a fuse going to both of them. So, you know, you always want to run a fuse to electrical stuff so you don't burn out too much if something goes wrong. So the next step that I'm going to do, I'm probably going to run some wires from here to where the toggle switches will be, about right here. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so what I did right here is I got my fuse. I got the 2 wires to run to each toggle switch, and it's plenty of room. And what I use is this little clamp right here, so I could tie them all together and make it look nice and neat, and so that way there's no exposed wires. And I'll probably cover this with a piece of electrical tape just for some extra assurance. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hook each wire up to a toggle switch. And earlier I removed this black fender piece from the rest of my fender, and it makes it real easy to, you know, determine how much wire you need and everything. So if you're doing it, I recommend doing that, because see, I can just put this piece right here and it's all open and exposed. So I can hook this to that, and then after I hook the wires to the toggles, I will remove the cowl and get my headlight connected to it as well. As you can see, I got the wires hooked up to each toggle switch, and I guess it don't matter which one you hook it up to, you know, just whichever way you want on and off. But I kept mine uniform, so see that right there, up, up, bottom, bottom, so that way whenever one's up or on or off, the other one's on or off, so they're in the same direction, I guess, if that makes sense. So I got each wire connected with a loophole connector in. Got a little I got a little electrical tape on there just to hold everything together a little bit better. And each wire is running to the fuse, which will be connected to the battery. So now I got to get that cowl off and run the wires from the headlight to the switch. So removing the cowl is pretty self-explanatory. You can use the same Allen key that you used to remove the fender. Here, there's just 2 bolts on each side, there, and on the other side. And I probably could have taken this off all the way, but it was a real booger to get the blinkers installed through this harness into here. So I just hung it up like this, so it's out of the way. I can get to the wires, and this is how I have it right now. I have this aftermarket headlight installed to the stock plug, so that's how I'm able to use it with the on and off switch on the handlebars there. So I'm just going to remove all this and get the wires ran from here to the toggle switches. So I want to get going with that. Alright, so I went ahead and reconnected the battery, and I got my power cable for my switches right here, and my ground for my headlight right here. See, I got it ran through there, and I got the ground connected to the headlight, and I got the wire connected from my switch to my headlight. There's my daytime light. So that works. So now I'm going to hook the other switch to my high beam, so that way I can not always have my high beams on or just my low beam. And it was a cheap headlight, so I guess that's why the little neon ring ain't working that well. It looks like just the centerpiece is working, but that's okay. That'll do for now. So anytime I want to swap this out, all the wiring will already be ran. So far so good. Okay, so I got the high beam and the low beam all connected, and so you can tell I got a little extra wire, and that's because when you're dealing with anything in the I guess you could say steering or the turning, you want to leave a little extra room, because whenever you turn, those wires will be pulled. So you want to leave a little extra room just in case, you know, so you can get the wires where you need them, so that whenever you turn, it won't hang up your turning. Now to test it, high beam works and the low beam works. So now they're on separate switches, and I can turn them on and off as I want to, opposed to turning it off from up here and only the high beam running. So now that I got that and that all done, everything works. Now it's time to get the fender back on, my cowl back on, and everything back together. That was a pretty long process, but real easy. But I'm always real tedious when it comes to electrical, because I like it looking nice. I like sealing up everything nice and smooth. So I mean, I guess it's preference to you, but you know, it's pretty easy. So all right, so I got the fender back on, the seat back on, everything's connected, all nice and good. You can see right here I put a zip tie there and a zip tie there to help keep it tracked through here. And what I was talking about earlier with having a little extra wire is, see, whenever you turn, it's going to move a little bit, just like that. So it's better to have a little extra for some movement. I have all this tucked away, you know, out of the way to where it's not really having that much stress on it when I turn. And you know, everything works. It's awesome. It all worked out pretty easily. So I hope this video was informative for you and will help you, because I couldn't find a video over this, so I was just like, screw it, I'll do one. You know, it was worth it, so that way I don't always have to have my high beam on just by the switch. And even when the bike is on or off, I can have the light on or off, so light isn't always on if I don't need it, or you know, I can turn it on if I just want to use it for a light or something. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, thank you for checking out the video. Be sure to give Grom Beardo a search and a follow. He has a lot of cool Grom Tech stuff on his page, and he's on Instagram and stuff. And there's Only Groms and Grom Hub. They're really good shopping websites for like stickers and clothing and just cool things, you know, if you're in the Grom community. You can follow me on Instagram at Rover Reynolds if you want, so that'd be cool. So anyway, next time I do something with this bike, I will be sure to throw a video on here. So thanks for checking it out. See you later.